Okay, so today we're going to be talking about using desmos to find standard deviation. So just to explain what standard deviation is, this is one of the core statistics that we kind of look at. It's kind of thrown in there with like mean, median, mode, range, those kind of things. Um, it's kind of an important stat for some things. So basically, the idea with standard deviation is it tells you how far your data is from the mean on average. Okay, so this can be important for a couple reasons. So, for example, I'm looking at a bunch of stats on like your test scores. Okay, so when I'm talking about your average or your mean, let's say you get 70% on the test. That can mean a lot of different things. That can mean like everybody in the class got 70%. It can mean you guys all got kind of around 70%. Or it can mean like 3/4 of you got 100% and a quarter of you got zero. Okay. So that's a pretty big discrepancy. And that's also important information. That can tell me, like, oh, there's a big chunk of you that don't understand this at all, even though like your average is pretty good. There's a big chunk that got like no learning from that. Okay. So the standard deviation will kind of tell you that story. So to find standard deviation, you're going to make a list just like you normally do. So you could use a table, or you could do the other way, where you do a capital letter and call it that, whatever is easiest for you. I usually make a table because that's what you mostly need to do. And there is something that we'll do in stats that you need a table for anyway. So it's good to know. Okay, then we would enter in our data, and I'm just going to put in some random numbers just to kind of show you how this works. Okay, so just putting in some random numbers out of 100 just to kind of show you guys how standard deviation works. And let's do one more. Okay. There's some random numbers there. So first things first, on today, you're going to have to find two things. You're going to have to find a mean and the standard deviation. Mean, you just type mean and put the name of your list, and it pops up. The mean of this one is 62.81 repeating. Okay, and we would round that to 62.82. Okay, now to find standard deviation, I'm going to show you this little trick here. So when we're finding standard deviation, there is something that we're going to type in here, but let's say I don't remember how to type something in. I can always go to this keyboard down here. So here's my keyboard. Click that, and over here on functions, it'll come up with all the different functions I can type in. There's trig functions and other kind of things. We're on stats. So here's all the different stat things we can plug in. There's mean, there's the median, there's the stats thing we already talked about. So standard deviation, here's the problem that a lot of students will have on this unit is, oops, can I, oh, sorry. Go back to the pen here. I was gonna draw, but then it decided that it wanted to not have it up. So basically, standard deviation, there's two standard deviations here. You need to use the one that has the P, the STDEV, kind of, it's abbreviated standard deviation, right? The P is the correct one. So you need to enter in that when you are putting in standard deviation. So you can go to functions and just click on it and it populates, or you can write STDEVP. Whichever way you want to do it, that'll come up with the standard deviation. When I do the standard deviation here, it shows me that it is 24.53. So that would be my standard deviation right there. Okay. That tells me that on average, my numbers are about plus or minus 24.53 away from the mean there. Okay, so those numbers that I plugged in are an average about 24.5 away from 62.82. Okay, That's all that the standard deviation is telling you. It tells you how far away your numbers are from that mean. That can tell you some important information, though. So the closer that number is to zero, the more clustered your data is, right? That means like that those numbers are all kind of grouped around your mean. The further away from zero it is, the more spread out your data is. Now, some of that is based on how big the numbers are, right? If I have the numbers ranging from like 1 to 1,000 and my standard deviation is only 24, that's pretty good. That's pretty close to the mean. But with this being 1 through 100, basically, like 24 points is a pretty big spread. That's pretty far away from your mean. Okay. Um, and that's pretty much what standard deviation is. Again, it's not really hard, right? You just type in these 6 letters and Desmos will do it for you. You just have to put in your list, and that right there is your command for standard deviation. Again, this is the name I gave my list. Okay, I made it L, so you would type in whatever the name of your list is, but that's how you do standard deviation. If you have any comments or concerns, ask your teachers. We're here to help. We want to help. You just got to ask us, and I'll see you guys out there.